So I've got to say this. Inuyasha was one of my childhood animes, and the one that got me into anime to begin with, or when I first heard the term anime. I still like it to this day. Even though I have moved on to other things, I still consider that a classic. However, today I recently found out that there's going to be an Inuyasha sequel. So when I first saw a picture of it, it looks amazing.
Well, hello. Welcome to a new Pop Culture Talk episode. Today, I want to talk about a franchise that is deep and dear to my heart because it got me into anime to begin with, like the whole genre itself. And I was so excited to see that this was going to have a sequel, Inuyasha. It had been since 2010 since the last one came out. The final act. That was the conclusion, and it was the best. It was the best ending you could get, right? Then they decided to come out with a sequel. I was so excited. I was anticipated. And after watching all of it, season 1 and season 2, do I think it's as good as the original, or does it suffer with things that a lot of people kind of question? Is it really that bad, or is it just a disaster? Well, that's why we're here. I'm going to give you my honest opinion about it. From when I watched it, how I felt at the time, to now. Let's go.
So the plot actually starts with that epilogue from the manga that the creator drew and wrote, which is the prologue in this sequel anime. Inuyasha and the gang deal with a new issue one last time, but after that, something still will lurk to cause trouble in the future. Years later, two twin sisters are separated in a forest that is caught on fire. However, one goes to the future via a portal. The other has to survive by herself. Years after that, one has lived in modern-day Japan with Kagome's brother, now married and has a kid of his own, while the other sister has lost the ability to sleep, who is still in the past. Without her dreams, she's lost memories of her past and doesn't remember much of her other sister. Fate would have it that Towa would be able to go back to her time due to the portal, while the portal would suck Setsuna and Moroha to modern-day Japan. Moroha is the daughter of Inuyasha and Kagome, who also tags along with Towa and Setsuna. Soon Towa will go back to the past and they'll be on the hunt. Well, Towa will be on the hunt for this butterfly that has stolen Setsuna's dreams. Moroha wants to earn cash, and Setsuna, well, she's cold and distant, fights with the demon slayers. But one group of villains is plotting something, and these sort of small-looking round items, I would say these little balls they have for their strengths, their origins is a mystery. And where did they come from? While the gang are on this new journey, they will run into familiar faces and new ones at that, which will lead to some reveals. Which stuff that happened prior to the start of Yashahime. Now the story is something else. I would say it's a little confusing when it comes to the whole point where these special marbles, like balls that they have, which gives them powers to deal with situations. The origins is interesting, but some of it is just confusing, to say the least, with specific reasons for one of the villains, and there's a bigger conspiracy with one villain and an iconic character from the series. Because that whole plot point, you might be questioning, what is up with this? What's going on? I will say the animation's pretty good, but there will be points where the art kind of dips a bit. But it's the same company, Sunrise, that made the original Inuyasha series. So they're back again to make this sequel, and it's still good. So the three main characters that we follow this time around, well, they're something else. Towa and Setsuna are twin sisters who are, have you guessed it, Shishomaru's daughters. Towa is the kind and caring person who wants to, do the right thing and to get her sister's dreams back. While her sister is just more of a cool, emotionless, sometimes cold type of person. And the reason is, she was left to defend for herself for a while, till her darker side came around. Moroha is very enthusiastic when she gets a bounty that can really make her big bucks. And yeah, the daughter of Kagome and Inuyasha. These three are skilled in combat, but I would like to know how Toa was able to use her skills when she's been living in our time. Maybe instinct due to her demon side, maybe? You have these three that stir trouble. This character, he's more into Toa, and he's also mysterious at the same time. He wants the marble for a specific reason, and I'm referring to the marble balls in this series that are one of the plot points in this show for a specific reason. Then you have...
This is a bit disappointing. What happened to the girl who had the audacity to land a cut on my cheek?
Wait, is that Alucard? Kiramaru. Kirinamaru. Did I say that right? Okay. So he is pretty much the villain in this sequel. I will say he's actually pretty badass, but yeah, he's bad at the same time. Or is there something more to his character that we just don't know? His sister seems to be more of a problem towards the end, but she has a connection with the marble balls. Now, the one thing you might be wondering, who's the mother of the two characters, Toa and Setsuna? Well, it's Rin. But you wonder, where is she? To be honest, where is all of the original characters? So this is something I don't want to go into too much details if you're still interested to watch this, but as you continue to watch it, it will show what happened in the past and what the hell happened. I can say the nostalgic stuff was very nice to see the main characters again and wondering where the hell are they during this point in time. Kagome's brother is also around along with the granddad and the mother, though you would think the granddad by this point would have, well, what year is this? And when did the show end, like timeline wise? Oh. Also, Kaede's in here. Rion is the daughter of King Maru, Kinamaru. Pretty much her character is against what her father is doing and wants to help the main characters in the story. And then we get some glimpses of her past along with her father, which gives us a glance at his perspective. Though she does help out the others in situations along with Riku, though let's just say some other stuff end up happening near the end of the show itself and the characters' relationships and her relationship with her dad and yada yada yada. And Riku is another character that works alongside the villains, though later there's a switch with him, though he is a mysterious individual and you don't know what he's really up to until later. Then there is Zero, who just also causes issues for the main heroes of the story, though there is actually a connection with her in the past around the time Inuyasha's father died. Pretty much all these characters were around that time, living throughout pretty much the entire events of Inuyasha, which is kind of odd because you wonder where the heck they were. So overall, while we have these new characters alongside the original characters, of course we would be here mainly for the original characters because of nostalgia, because they are the iconic ones. Well, I don't mind the new cast, don't get me wrong, but I will say they don't live up to the original cast. Of course, we do get Sango, Moroku's children, and what they do, which is cool. Sango is still a badass, even for her age, giving birth to 3 kids, and she's still kicking ass. I will say, on the other hand, when it comes to Toa, technically she's from this era, but the time travel part brings her back to the modern era. She kind of just picks up more of the modern tropes than the old tropes. Pretty much the feudal era. Since she's picked up more of the modern tropes, she's the type that wants to help out and be a good person. And compared to her sister, which lived in the past, very different. Moroha is just like the adventurous type, outgoing, excited bounty hunter, and then Setsuna is just the more cool, cold-hearted character. And I think out of all of these characters, if I had to pick which one I liked more, I mean, Moroha I did like because of how she acted. I just think Setsuna was cool, and she even works for the Demon Slayers, so she still has that sort of trope like Sango, even though she's half demon.
So, what can I say about the plot? It's confusing in some aspects. Not all of it, but some of it is. Like, why is Shishomaru doing this? Why are some of the characters not looking for the main original characters from the series? Like, where are they? Why have they disappeared, and why is no one not looking for them? You know, the new cast, they're fine. They have some traits that I don't mind, but in general, it's not the same. Of course, I do like Moroha, and I think Setsuna is cool because she's kind of got the same vibe as Sango, but just more cold-hearted. Now, the soundtrack, you could say it's like from the original show, just its own touch. But it's quite nice. Some of it does feel like it came out of the original series. It does have a little bit more orchestra to it. And of course, some of the original songs for this sequel is not bad. But yeah, more like the feudal era vibe, like from the original. And even some of the endings and openings are pretty good too. I will say, though, there was a charm about the original art style that I did like. Of course, it does keep that trope from the creator's art style, so that's also good. So yes, I do think Toa is a bit Mary Sue after consideration. Is she as bad as some other characters that are Mary Sue? You could say maybe a little bit. Not as, but still, she's still able to figure stuff out. Now, of course, if it's just instinct because she's half demon, then okay. The problem is she was raised in the modern era. Barely any training with a sword, but she did practice on defending herself because she was fighting these bullies and stuff. So I guess you could say that's fine when it comes to her combat skills. But some of the magical powers, how does she know how to do this? Is it just instinct like with her father? Setsuna, she had a harder life. I can see her actually understanding how to fight well because of that hardship, and she was trained by the demon slayers. Kuhaku, Sango's brother, taught her how to fight. So I can see Setsuna being more skilled because she had a harder life. Understandable. Toa, not as much. And same with Moroha, too. So Setsuna and Moroha, I can legit get why they're more skilled in combat. Toa, on the other hand, not as much because of course, that whole time distance and lifestyle.
So when it comes to the enjoyment aspect, this is the issue I have. I enjoyed it at the time. It was so nice to see the original cast, especially at that very first episode, which is actually the one that was written by the creator, because she made that manga. While I don't mind the new characters per se, the whole new generation in this show does have some issues and confusing points that really bug me. It comes mainly with characters not reacting to something that happened in the past, mostly the original characters. Like, why did this happen? Why aren't the characters looking for specific characters? Also, to points of figuring out the main villain, or basically her motive. We don't even know Shishomaru or Kirinamuru's motive for what they were doing and why they're doing it. And then, of course, there's a whole issue with the Shishomaru and Rin thing, which at the time I was thinking, well, if she's 18 at this point during the feudal era, you were pretty much mature enough to be an adult. But the longer I thought about it, the more I realized, you know what? This is not great, because technically the creator actually said Shishomaru and Rin are almost like a father and daughter thing. Not really characters that would be romantic towards each other. So the fact that they went with this idea, a lot of people just feel uncomfortable with it, and I quite understand why. I mean, what could they have done differently that make this better? Well, I don't think that would have been the best way to do it, because Rin is like a daughter figure with Shishomaru. Shishomaru is like the dad, not this. Then you have part 2. I will say it did fix some of the issues that I had with part 1. And it's like I said, they weren't mentioning much of what happened to specific characters, especially with the original characters. And it at least explains specific things that happen with certain characters, and, well, especially 2 specific characters, and why this all leads up to now. Well, there's a big reason for that, and a few others. Most of it gets revealed. Now I know why certain things happen, but still it's odd. We do get glances of the past in some areas and the villains and yada 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 yada. There was even more nostalgic portions in part 2 when it comes to more of the original characters of Inuyasha, and I loved it. There are even some pretty good moments, especially with the new characters, and what I really liked is the last part was how the time travel aspect Heck, the show goes into more depth of the world, a bit more than the original series itself, because I always had the issues of wanting more expansion of this universe, an explanation of where demons were and why they haven't shown up. We get more explanation for that in specific things around the world, even locations like New York City, London, India, China, etc. It really expands more of the international globe, which I liked. Heck, they even review a bit of historical stuff around the world too. I'm assuming Europe and parts of Asia and stuff like that when they go into depth. Here's the thing, at the time I enjoyed it, and mainly the reason was to see the main characters again that I like. And some of the characters are pretty cool and all. It's just that the show also feels a bit generic at times, a little too generic, to the point where it's just okay. Feels like just a typical anime trope. I've seen where the good guys beat the bad guys, good guys win. To be honest, most of the stuff felt too redundant in some cases. I still enjoyed watching it for it being a sequel to Inuyasha, but the problem is there's too many issues and the lack of the original characters, because it just goes into more of the nostalgic trope, which is fine, but it's not the charm of the original. And I can say I would give it credit for expanding the universe more, because I really wanted to know more about the world and a lot more of the time travel portions, which were cool. I do like time travel stuff, but on the other hand, with the whole thing with Shishomaru and Rin, totally iffy, very iffy. And of course the whole thing of why characters aren't looking for specific characters, it just feels like a jumbled up mess. I'm sorry, but what the heck? I was so excited that they were making a sequel, but after watching it and then after going back and thinking about it for a while, does it have good points? Yes. Does it have bad points? Also yes. Is it as good as the original? No. Are the characters interesting? Some of them, yes, like Morha and Setsuna.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Some of the characters that were very old in the original series are still alive, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't know. I mean, yeah, you could say people could live a long time if they take care of themselves. Yeah. It's kind of weird because they don't look like they've aged at all. So that's odd to me. But here's the thing. The coolest thing is that Crispin Freeman's in here. Some of like iconic voice actors that you've known throughout this industry of voice acting come in here to a sequel of one of the famous anime franchises. Then you have the guy that does Lupin the Third, and then of course, yeah, Crispin as Alucard. That's cool. But the guy that did the original voice for Shishomaru comes back. He was absent from the final act. In here, though, I'm glad he came back. However, that doesn't mean it saves it from some issues. And I completely understand why there's some people are complaining about it. Especially, I think the biggest thing is the Shishomaru Rin thing. I 100% get that. And then, of course, the original characters being completely absent for a majority of the entire show. The only best parts about this show is, of course, the voice actors, new or old, coming together in this famous anime franchise. The art is fine. It explains the world a lot more, which I like. And of course, just seeing the main original characters again. But you may not like what they did with Rin and Shishomaru, even though that's how they end up having Toa and Setsuna. But that is, you might just question everything. Now, of course, there may be people that would just not count this or retcon it. You could, yeah, I mean, I could understand. You could pretend this doesn't even exist, and that's fine. The one thing I would count in this show is just that prologue episode, because the creator of Inuyasha, she made that story, because that was from a manga that came out in 2013, which was an epilogue manga from her main story, her main series, main books. So technically, that could be canon. If you just watch it up until that point and then just trim off that portion at the end of that episode where it leads up to the sequel. And there you go. Ends right there. Yashahime is an anime I was really looking forward to because it is an Inuyasha sequel. And Inuyasha, I have, a childhood memory. When I was 11 years old, I got into it mainly because of Sango. Yes, I am not going to deny that. I was an 11-year-old crush, and I am not ashamed of it because even my mom had a crush on He-Man. But yeah, that's kind of the whole reason I got into that show is because of her. She's just a badass. But yeah, Yashahime, it's not the same. It's not the same. Some characters that you've known from the original are absent, like Koga only shows up once. They made things up as it went along. And now I know there's a manga that's out that I heard is better. I have yet to read it. I do have the first volume. But for now, this is the show I'm talking about.
So overall, when it comes to Yashahime, unfortunately, would I say it is canon or not? Personally, as much as there's some stuff I liked about it, there's too many cons with it that would hold it back, and it doesn't hit the same, and just the writing just gets odd, and while it can explain certain things, it doesn't mean it fixes everything when it comes to the other stuff. So when I say, is this canon or not, my verdict is going to be, it's not canon.
It's so disappointing!
It is disappointing that it ended up being this way, and as much as I like Inuyasha, the sequel, I'm sorry. At the time, I was enjoying it, but the older I've gotten, the more I realize, there's just too much issues with it.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode, as disappointing as it is. Yashahime could have been a lot better if they had probably ditched the Shishomaru Rin thing and maybe had covered more of, I don't know. They could have covered Inuyasha and Kagome's daughter. That would have been fine. Or they could have just done maybe Sanga Moroku's children doing stuff. That also would have been fine. Or just, I don't know, maybe 12 episodes of just the main characters doing their stuff. I don't know. Like, they could have done something else a little different. Now, some people might like this. Okay. That's fine. I was here for the original cast. And I didn't mind the new cast, but like I said, it's not the same. Toa's a bit of a Mary Sue. Moroha and Setsuna, I preferred watching them do stuff. The whole, and I'm glad that the voice actor for Shishomaru came back, but what they did with his character in Rin is like, okay. Even Rin, the voice actors for Rin came back too. You had all this, the prologue is probably the only thing I suggest watch, and then end it right there. Just after that last scene, pause it, walk away after that. That's all you need to see is the prologue, because that's what the original creator wrote and drew. And then they animated her epilogue page or chapter. And that's it. You don't even have to say this is canonical. You don't. So, yep, it's a disappointment, but what can you do? It's not canon. Anyways, peace, everybody.